The Chicago Bears are in an interesting position. We talk about, let's be real, the Bears have the potential to be the worst team in the NFL. But I think that comes with its silver linings because, I think we read an article on PFF, I think that next year they're going to have the most cap space. I think they can make a lot of moves to help out Justin Fields and Matt Eberflus. Hopefully that's how you say his name. But I think that this is going to be a little bit of a rebuilding year. But nonetheless, there is still the latest headlines for the Chicago Bears before training camp. And I think there's some things you got to keep an eye on, and that's what we're going to take you right to. So I feel like at the end of the day, the Bears are in a spot where we could see them struggle this year, but I do think there's some good things to take away, and I think that there's some things that you really need to take a serious look at. First off, Justin Fields. Now, I do have to, this is a little bit of a caveat here, though. This article was written by Bears Wire reporter Alyssa Barbieri. That's probably not even close how to say your name, but written about a week, what is this? Wow, June 15th. But anyway, this is, like I said, this is a caveat. This is like from the main takeaways from mandatory minicamp and everything. So, this is a very early thing. This is a very early written article kind of, and I think this is one of those things where you take some of these with a grain of salt, but there's a lot you can take away from some of these. So first off, Justin Fields had his best practice of minicamp. Listen, this doesn't mean anything. Like we talk about, this is, we're talking about practice. I mean, this is mandatory minicamp, but there is some good to take away from this. You do want your franchise quarterback to really start out coming out of the gate fast, getting in tune, getting in stride with his receivers and his offensive line. I think that's a big thing here, and I think I think Justin Fields could really take the Bears out of the cellar. I think in terms of quarterback play, I think he is definitely looking really good. So it's talking about some of the receivers he's already kind of getting in touch with, and Darnell Mooney, Velus Jones Jr., who I think is going to be a big time stud, and I'm really excited for. Also, Khalil Herbert and Corey Blussigan, the former Viking, out there making some plays. So I think that's something to definitely keep an eye on. Number two, the Bears had 3 rookies working with the starting offensive line. I got to say this. I love it when teams and coaches are willing to play younger guys on the offensive line. I don't care. Put the best players on the field. If they show that they can play right away, don't give me this, scared to play him stuff. Put them on the field and see what they can do. I got a lot of love for Matt Eberflus for doing that. So we talk about, they had 3 guys working with the first team offensive line, but I do have to say some of this was due to injury and stuff. So, I think it was day 2 of minicamp that talked about the head guys like Zachary Thomas at left guard, Doug Kramer at center as well. So, and Braxton Jones at left tackle. Now, again, this is mainly due to Cody Whitehair. He was excused, as well as Lucas Patrick didn't participate in team drills. But I don't care. I would really like to see some of these younger guys get a chance. But what's the worst that can happen? They suck? Okay, fine. Well, we know what they are right now, but we can get them a lot better moving forward. But, I mean, who knows? They might be a really good player for the Bears, and they might be a major reason as to why this offensive line finally gets put together. So, obviously they think a lot of these starters are probably going to be like guys like Cody Whitehair, Larry Borom. I'm really excited about. Tevin Jenkins, I think could really bounce back in year 2 as well. So there's some really good things coming forward here for the Bears in that offensive line. Get those younger players out there. So yes, Robert Quinn wasn't at practice during a portion of mandatory minicamp, but I do think that this is one of those things where they'll get it figured out. I'm not really worried about that. Kyler Gordon was off seeing during portions of practice. I believe he was on a bike, so I'm not really worried about that. It talks about the Bears offense being much improved again in mandatory minicamp. I am excited about the Bears offense moving forward. This year, I do think it will be rough getting that offensive line and everything figured out, but I do think I'm excited. This is the one thing I think you can really take away, and like I said, I really praise Matt Eberflus for this. He's not afraid to play younger players. I get it. Younger players, specifically probably along the offensive line, dealing with guys like man strength, like Akeem Hicks and everybody. Yeah, and by the way, yes, I know he went to the Bucs, but you're dealing with defensive tackles that can bench like a house and that are just stacked. So I get it. You're going to have players that struggle. You're going to get players that just don't kind of compete and do well to start out with, but I don't care. Put them on the field, let them get better, and then continue to develop them. That's the name of the game, and I'm really excited for the Bears. I think they're in a great spot, and you got to be able to play those younger players, and I'm really excited for that portion of it as well. So, it also kind of talks a little bit about, the Byron Pringle situation. Yes, we understand it. Also Ryan Griffith talking about Cole Kmet here. I've always liked Cole Kmet. I think he's been a problem. I feel like there's been a lot of a problem on the field. That is, he is going to be a very good player moving down the line. Every time he plays the Vikings and he catches the ball, I'm like, man, he looked good. And obviously, what was it? I think his rookie year, I think he had, what was it? I think it nearly doubled from his rookie year. It talks about 60 catches for 612 yards, no touchdowns, but I think there are going to be some times where a guy like Cole Kmet does take over, and I'm really excited about it. So, Travis Gibson, yes, accountability in space, yes, okay, absolutely. Let's see here. And like I said, some of these things you really can't take away a lot of them, but there's a lot of good things that I think are coming, like the Bears' a willingness to play younger players. A guy like Justin Fields that does show he wants to win and do a lot of different things for this team, and I'm really excited about it. So, I think overall the Bears are in a good spot in terms of the young players on their team, but then also talks about Gibson believes Dominic Robinson has a better skill set than he did coming as a rookie. That's the thing. You got to be able to develop these guys and help them out, especially when you get into the bottom parts of these roster spots. Excuse me. So Tevin Jenkins remains at right tackle, but that could change. Former second-round pick Tevin Jenkins is a madman. I'm really excited about what Tevin Jenkins will become. Yes, it wasn't great coming out in year one in a lot of ways, but there were a lot of positives too. He's a guy that's going to fight for his team on every single snap. I'm really excited, and I think Tevin Jenkins, there's still a lot to salvage and to work with. Let's see. Treston Ebner had the play minicamp. But, it talks a little bit about, Tristan Ebner here. And honestly, the running back position for the Bears, it's been really interesting. Like Matt Forte, Montgomery. Like, there's been a lot of good running backs that I felt like come through the Bears. And I think that you could, it never hurts to have another guy like an Ebner coming out and playing up to his ability. Let's see here. Also talking about, Carlson Taylor, John, I feel like UDFAs are one of those guys. They're just not going to get a lot of love, but they need to. They absolutely need to. It said a pair of undrafted rookies here in defensive end, Carson Taylor and safety John Alexander, each had a standout day. Taylor had a better pass, line of scrimmage. The point of minicamp, the point of all of these mandatory OTAs and all that stuff is the fact you want to check out some of these undrafted guys, see what they can do, because you never know. You might find a diamond in the rough. I love it, and bringing in those guys. Bears trimmed practice by 25 minutes due to excessive heat. Yada 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 yada. I don't really get it. Okay, whatever. Rod Marilani. Okay, awesome. Anyway, I think there's a lot of good things to take away from here in terms of headlines from minicamp and everything kind of coming forward for the Bears. I think the biggest takeaway is, number one, I have to make sure that I emphasize this. I'm so excited about Justin Fields. I think that this year it's going to be rough. The offensive line isn't going to be great, but I don't know. Maybe we could find some things, and players that shock. Doug Kramer, I'm excited specifically about him, and Tevin Jenkins. Also, there's a lot of players that I think could step up and do a lot of great things, and I think there's going to be some things going on that will help out the Bears in terms of what they want to do on all sides of the football. When we talk about the latest headlines, there's a lot of players, younger players that are stepping up, a lot of things that's going on. So I'm excited about it for the Bears. So, at the end of the day, yes, Justin Fields, what's going to go on with Daxton Hill, Cambridge Taylor in that corner room? I'm excited, or excuse me, not Daxton Hill. What is going to go on with some of these younger, like Jaquan Brisker. I was thinking about the Bengals there, sorry. No, we're talking about Jaquan Brisker and all these guys playing in the secondary. There is a lot of good things going on for the Bears in that regard as well. So, and again, I think it all does come back to the fact, just play these younger players. I don't care if it's offensive line. I don't care if it's safety. I don't care if it's corner. Just play these younger players, because who knows, you could find somebody that absolutely balls out, and I'm really excited about it. I think there's still some weapons, still some things that are going to be constructed for a guy like Justin Fields, but overall, the Bears, I think, are sitting in a very positive situation here. But let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like. Oh, punch my laptop. Leave a like and a comment down below. Make sure you guys also give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com, or put in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think about the latest headlines for the Chicago Bears before training camp.